Folks, it's great to have to see you all assembled here tonight. I'm Neil Ballman, President of the Raw Supporters Federation, and John Lang there, who is running around in his customary fashion, actually getting stuff done. So thanks to John, and thanks to the club for coming along and opening themselves up to you guys and to the questions that will be presented tonight. I think the venue's a bit better than it was last time we had a fan forum. At least we'll be able to hear each other. But welcome here, and I'm going to turn you straight over to our very professional and knowledgeable and expert host, James Caughlin, who will introduce all the participants. But I don't know about you, but I'm bloody optimistic about this coming season. Good to hear.
All right, well, first of all, thank you, Neil, and to the RSF for putting this on tonight and for having me back after March. I think it's fair to say after the off-season we've had, we're expecting this to be a little bit more positive than the way things were travelling in March, and also should say a big thanks to the Raw for participating. My name's James Caughlin. For those of you who may not know me, I'm a Football Queensland commentator and very pleased to be your MC for tonight. Let's start by introducing our guests, all 8 of them, which is a pretty healthy turnout as well, has to be said. Well, we know we've got Kaz Patafta, Zac Anderson as well, back for more of a grilling from you guys. Thank you guys. We've also got the coaches of the A-League men's and women's team. We've got Michael Valkanis and Alex Smith. And we've also got some of the new players as well. So we've got Ashlyn, we've got Bente, we've got Dean and Milorad. So guys, welcome to the club. And we will make sure that you guys get your airtime tonight as well. So I've got some good questions for you, don't worry about that. So I suppose we should also thank Lord Alfred for hosting us tonight and for their help with the tech setup. We should point out that these microphones over the PA system, that was set up by John, so any concerns just directed to the old guy over there. And he's very pleased to see, by the way, Neil and John, that you guys survived your camping trip in the off-season and there was no hitchhiking involved.
Almost was, believe me, yeah.
Alright, so some of the rules for tonight, it's going to be the same as last time. We'll try and aim for this to be as civil and productive as possible, keeping the questions respectful. None of the submitted ones online have been censored or edited beyond just readability and just overall presentation. There will be a chance for follow-ups if need be for questions from the floor as well. I'd like to open up with some big picture stuff as well. So I'll start off with Kaz and Zac, and perhaps this might be one for you, Kaz. We do have a timer on you tonight, so when you see the red light flashing and the orchestra start playing, that is time to wrap up. We'll start off by saying quite a lot has changed at the club since March. Some good, some bad stories over the off-season. So do you want to take us through some of the developments that we've had over the last 7 or so months?
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thank you to everyone that's turned out this evening, but also to the last fan forum, which I thought was very constructive, and I thought that it was a really, good conversation and free-flowing, and I hope we can have the same type of experience tonight. So for the familiar faces, thanks for coming back, and for the new ones as well, thank you for your support. Look, it's no secret, it's been a challenging period. I think that in the ups and downs of football, I think this is the life that we live in football world, and it's an exciting little phase for us. We didn't shy away from the fact that last season, both in the on-field results for both sides for us were below standard of what we expect, and I think I mentioned that during our last fan forum, and I've mentioned it numerous times subsequent to that. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of work that goes into, let's say, reassessing, reformatting, analysing, and I think that one of the key points for us is continuing to build upon what we've been at least promising the fans, and that's to come back with a stronger foundation and also really push an emphasis of on-field results. At the end of the day, we're a football club and we want to be winners. We want to win titles, we want to win trophies, and that's for the fans, that's for the members, but also for the satisfaction of the playing group and also our fantastic admin staff that are working tirelessly to push the club forward. Since March, I think it's fair to say that a lot of the personnel within the club, both the playing group but also the administrative staff, have evolved.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get to meet a lot more of the personnel who are, good people first and foremost, but extremely hard-working individuals. There's definitely been a shift in terms of the type of quality of communication. I hope that you've experienced that. There's still a way to go for us, but hopefully that has been witnessed. But it's fair to say that we continue to push ahead and strive forward. So hopefully tonight I can give you a few more updates. I won't sort of go into too much detail because I know James will guide me before I talk too much. But from where we were and where we are now, I can say that there's definitely been an extremely positive shift. And what's really important to us is that we continue to strive on this journey and direction. I might just pass to Zac to kind of give a little bit of an update from his side, but I look forward to this evening and making sure that you're all informed of where we are at as a club and what we're heading towards.
Thanks, KP, and I won't elaborate too much more because I think that the questions and answers are the best way to format this evening. But yeah, as James and Kaz have alluded to, we're really excited about the people that we've brought to the football club. The four individuals to my left have all come from different parts of the world to be here with us in Brisbane tonight, so hopefully push our football club forward. We've brought Joseph Esposito across from the APL, and we've been able to continue to upskill individuals within our own four walls. But the most important thing, and this is the reason why we're here tonight, is the people in front of us and the people behind the camera, and this is your club. And so together, it's about going on a journey, and we know there'll be many more ups and downs, but hopefully more ups. And as we've been saying to start this forum tonight, we're really looking forward to the season ahead.
I'll go back to you on this one, Zac, because something I'm curious about. You've been with the club for the last 2 years. How has the working relationship evolved between you and Kaz?
Don't know where to start. No, Kaz and I think it's to be very honest to say we have a unique relationship because we push each other to be better every day. And I think that anyone that works together as hard as we do, just like a head coach and an assistant coach or two sixes on the football field, you've got to be honest with each other at times. And we've gone through some really big challenges together to kind of get this football club and the foundations back in a good direction. But Kaz and I, really, we die for this football club. We're working day and night over the last 3 years. When we arrived in, I think it was June 23, we had no visibility over where the club was at the time. We were really optimistic about the future. We didn't really understand what we were getting ourselves into, but there's a trust between us and a deep love for this football club and for the game. And so we've gone through a lot together over the last couple of years, but we have a lot to conquer to help this football club moving forward. So from a personal perspective, for me it's all about the people you work with. And if you go to work every day and you see the four individuals on my left, doing everything they can, and the two gentlemen on my right, far right, working tirelessly to push this football club forward. I'm inspired by the work ethic of Kaz and what he's doing to continue to help us get to where we all want to be.
All right, well, let's go over to the first submitted question that we've got from Ross. In the recent minutes from the meeting between the club and the Raw Fan Representative Group at item 6.0, there is an indication a minority investor is in the final stages before being confirmed. If so, how will the funds from this investor be used to help the club? This is something that came up, Kaz, at the last fan forum back in March as well, I believe. So have you got an update on that for us?
The discussions are very positive. We obviously went through a fairly tumultuous and public situation that didn't put that in jeopardy, but allowed us to go through this period of, one, ensuring that the club had stability in terms of its foundations, financial foundations, and let's say support, which ultimately all A-League clubs at the moment run financial deficits. So in order to secure the funding of a club, it does take an immense investment from owners. That's the reality of Australian football right now. There's not one club last season that ran a financial or a profitable P&L, let alone what most of the balance sheets look like. So for us, it's actually a very complex situation to sit with an investor that is hopeful of not only some sort of financial outcome, but investing into something bigger, which is the future plan of the club. So we have had an impact with the situations that did occur over the last couple of months. The investor, there's two at the moment that are still at the table. We're hopeful by the start of this coming season and also next year that we can close an initial round of capital investment, which will be the first time in a long time for the club, besides the back creases, of course. It's a bit more strategic than just pure financial investment. It's also about bringing someone that's local, and I think that's something that's needed for the fan base, but also for the club, to have a local presence in terms of someone that's committing capital into the club. So we're still working through those pieces. It has been a significant challenge. In terms of where that funding will go, look, use of capital at the moment in terms of our football club, there's a very fine line between investment, and no investor wants to just cover deficits of any business. They want their capital or capex going into infrastructure or assets to build the balance sheet. But that's also a challenge in terms of the Australian football landscape. We've seen, unfortunately, a club in Melbourne that also has had some challenges and difficulties. So the investor sentiment across Australian football is something that is challenging. So we're still working through that, and we definitely will have updates.
And just a little bit of a follow-up on that, in terms of ways clubs can generate more revenue. We've seen the Raw sell on Tommy Waddingham. We've got Lucas Harrington going in January as well, not to mention Sean Fryer over to Germany and now back on loan.
That's right.
On loan, yeah. Do you feel like player development is going to be the future in terms of A-League funding generation? And not just A-League, actually, going down to the NPL levels as well.
When Kaz and I started in June 2023, I remember having a conversation with the APL around the fact that we needed to really continue to develop young talent and have this model where we did try to play more younger players to hopefully allow them the opportunities to showcase themselves and then attract overseas talent. Now, I think the question is kind of separate in terms of the men's game and the women's game. Kaz and I have been very I think open about the fact that the women's league could potentially be a top 5 league in the world. For us, we see the men's league as a league at the moment where a lot of younger players are getting an opportunity to showcase their talent. But at the same time, we've got to be able to strategically bring the right players like your Dean Bouzanis, etc., to come back and actually help shape these young individuals. But I think the league is just going through a moment right now, both on the men's and women's side, where it's a unique challenge with the amount of revenue that's coming in from the broadcaster, which is giving opportunity for more younger players to play. But I think it's an exciting time, and both on the men's and the women's side, it's a really exciting time to be involved in the game, because I think that we've seen opportunities for more younger players to get match minutes, and hopefully we'll see more of the under 20s like we've seen recently over in Chile. I know they didn't get through to the next round, but hopefully you can actually translate and start to see more younger players get opportunities like Tommy Waddingham and Lucas Harrington.
We may as well bring in the two coaches when it comes to player development. That seems like an area you guys will be quite well versed to talk about. So I'll start with you, Michael, and then over to Alex. Can you just maybe describe your philosophy when it comes to developing those young players coming through from that 15 to 18 age group?
Yeah, I think, first of all, thank you for having me out here. It's a pleasure. Coming out here to the Raw was always exciting as a player, Adelaide United, because it was great to come to Suncorp and the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. But I said in my press conference, by the 60th minute, you're thinking, how am I going to get out of here with a point? So that's what we really want to bring back, that everyone hates to come here. And we make it very hard for them here, and it's going to take not only us and the work we do and the players, but obviously all your support as well. And making our dream come true for all of us, to have a great atmosphere and feeling Suncorp. In terms of development, it's a tricky one, because I know the route that all clubs have taken in terms of developing players that they are financially viable and so on, but I'm a little bit old school in terms that you need good experienced players around young players as well to develop. And at the same time, I think it's a prerequisite of any coach and every coach, when you're fighting to win a championship and to be in the top 4 and play finals, that you will anyway along the way develop 1, 2 or 3 youngsters. I'm not a big believer in let's bring 11 youngsters and try to win a top. It's not going to happen. And I think, and I'm always totally honest, that's where the A-League has gone a little bit backwards. And that's why we find a Suncorp empty. And that's the truth. And when I spoke to Kaz and Zac, we spoke about building a team that's going to fight for a championship, that's going to be in the top 4, that's going to play playoffs so that we can fill Suncorp and we can get people excited. And at the same time, really develop and target and develop 1, 2 or 3 players that will go overseas and make us bloody proud by staying overseas, not bouncing back within 6 months, which is what you always see happening. So I've got a passion for football, I love developing young players, I've always worked with young players, but I think you've got to be strategic and you've got to target the young players that you're going to develop, and you're going to excel over time by developing a team that they're going to really grow in and develop within, because in the past, that's how we ended up playing in Europe. Within really good teams, with good professionals, with experienced players that not only the coaches coached, but the players coached and developed these youngsters to become mentally winning individuals, players that want to win games, not necessarily just to play and participate in the league. I don't believe in that. I believe in playing, developing players to win.
It's just long.
Look, I think firstly I'd just like to echo Mickey's sentiments. I can remember coming here as a player, playing for Wellington. I think we went down a man in the 25th minute, and we somehow hung on for a draw on a Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. And I think we celebrated like we'd won the World Cup. So I'd like to be, fairly similar in my approach, trying to bring that back to Brisbane. I think on the women's side we made a little bit of progress last year, which was pleasing. But the women's space, I guess, probably a little bit different than the men's side. A lot of the sort of more experienced players are now playing overseas. A lot of them. The sort of age group from 23 to 30, a lot of them are now playing in the overseas leagues. So it's been a case of these younger players getting a lot of opportunities by default. And I'm probably fairly similar to Mickey as well. They need those experienced players to guide them and show them what to do, how to behave, how to be a professional, all those sorts of things. But I have also always believed if you're young enough, you're good enough. And I think we saw last year with someone like Grace coming through and getting her Matilda's debut. She was only 18 last year and took the league by storm, and then Sean the previous year. So a nice healthy blend of overseas players like we have here, some more experienced players like your Tamikas and your Momos, and then being able to bring those young players through and really develop them, and hopefully they can move on to bigger and better things, and definitely, like Mickey said, stay there instead of coming back. Definitely be an education piece. I think from us as coaches, we have that responsibility to really educate them around what it takes to go overseas, and when it gets tough, not just to come back here, but actually stay there. So I think if you're young enough, you're definitely good enough.
You just talked about bringing the crowds back, especially to Suncorp for the men's team as well, and to Imperial Corp Stadium for the women. I'll direct this question to the two of you, and then we'll get on to the players. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you guys just yet. But we are in a very competitive sporting market here in southeast Queensland. We've seen in the last 2 weeks the Lions won the AFL Premiership, the Broncos men and women did the double. From an overall sporting perspective, just in the men's football codes, the Reds last won a title in 2021. The Broncos and Lions both won titles in the last fortnight. It's now been over 10 years since the Roar won a title. Do you feel any sort of pressure to bring back what is a fickle sporting public back to the Roar? And how much of a role is winning going to play in that, given the natural handicap that football does operate with?
Zach's showing me some statistics. We're actually, what's that, over 4,200 days since the Roar's...
You can prepare.
Yeah, lived at the end of the day, like, put aside my particular role or Zach's role, at the end of the day, when you get to know us, we're extremely competitive individuals. The winning's always been at the forefront, and I think that anything else is just talk. And of course, in an administrative role, we've got a responsibility and also an obligation and a fiduciary duty to make sure that the organisation as a whole continues to progress. And you talk about the Lions who've had back-to-back success, there were days that they didn't have that sort of success, but they were able to build a lot of infrastructure. Their training grounds out at Springfield are phenomenal. They've got their leagues club, but there were days when the club was in immense debt and they had to restructure and they had to look at ways to progress. But I'm sure in those moments there's not one person in that club that didn't want on-field success. We've been no different. There's not a day last season that it didn't destroy my soul to watch us play, both men's and women's, and not have on-field success. There's not a day that I turn up to this football club and not be that passionate to want to win things. And if I was to wake up one morning and go, you know, I could not care less whether we win, lose or draw, then I'll put my resignation in because I'm not the right person to lead the club forward. So what we did do is we made change, we made vigorous change across the board, and we brought people in that we inherently believe in winning. And it's a belief, it's a mentality, it's got nothing to do with financial spend. It's proven year after year that in this A-League, no matter where you come from, what walks of life, if you can build the right culture, the right people, and you have the right leadership, then anything's possible. What we have proven as a football club, irrespective of the fact that we haven't lifted a silverware in such a long time, is that we still were, and this is why the fans are so hungry for it, and I get it, we were the benchmark of Australian sport. Not just football. Australian sport, right? So we know that our ceiling is up there and the expectation is up there. And also we're a football club that these fans, and Zach and I had this conversation yesterday, and no disrespect to other clubs, but there are clubs where the fan base accept that they may not be a championship winning side. This club is not that, and I can recognise that. And I'm talking about clubs across the globe. There's clubs in the Premier League that set themselves targets just to make Europe, for example, and fans are happy with that. Our fan base wants success, they want to win, they haven't been able to taste that for years, and it's been mediocre. So of course, fans aren't going to turn up. Of course, they're not going to be happy with management. Of course. And that's our responsibility now, with the support of everyone here and with our team, to take this forward. So to answer your question, long story short, there's not a moment of my day that I'm not thinking about winning. And maybe you can ask the players as well, because I've spoken to these players many a time, and I was just speaking to the girls now, but the only way we're going to get success is for our standards to be higher and higher and higher. And one thing I can tell you this season is we will not accept mediocrity, because we won't make excuses. Yes, some things might be a little bit tricky off field here and there, but that's not an excuse, because once you turn up there, you have to perform. And these coaches, they know that's their responsibility now. So that's the standard we'll set. Last couple of seasons haven't been there. We got very close in the Australia Cup against Sydney FC. We could taste a little bit of some success at that point. And I can tell you, if we had gone on to win that, the Brisbane City Council, the mayor, everyone were behind us then. So we know that in this city and with this fan base, they expect nothing less than winners.
Yeah.
And that's what we're pushing towards.
Well, certainly here smoking. I'm feeling nice and energised after that call to action. Now let's go over to the players. So, sorry guys, I might just jump across if that's all right. So I'll start with the ladies first. So what was the draw to come play here in Brisbane, and overall, what are your first impressions of the Raw as a club?
I think for me it was the staff and the culture that they kind of just have an expectation of. I obviously want to win, and that's their goal as well. So just being aligned on that really sold me.
Yeah, I think for me the values of the club are really important, like winning, just the mentality is really good. So for me it felt like, even though it's on the other side of the world, it was like a family club, like a bit of home. So I'm just really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to winning the league.
Dean?
Yeah, for me, having spent such a long time abroad, speaking to Zac and Kaz, especially the boss who I've worked with before, their vision was clear to me. I've had the privilege to play at a few big clubs overseas where that mentality and the pressure was to win. And I'm used to that. And the players that the boss and Zac and Kaz have brought in are winners. What we can guarantee this year is that we will do everything possible to win. You can't guarantee in football. I can't sit here and say we're going to guarantee that we're going to win the title, but we will do everything we can to win. And it started 13 weeks ago when we went to this pre-season. You brought in players like Milorad, alongside Jay, who's a top professional. And I think for the men's side, we've got a core group now that mean business, and they're not just here to turn up. So for me, it was the vision of the club and the vision of the boss who I've had the privilege to work with before. That sold it for me.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you. I agree with Dana. So I spoke with the Gaffa and Zac and Kaz. I feel the family, and they want to win. I want to win, and the big challenge is to fill the Suncorp, and I know we will do that and win and have some success this year.
Yeah, great.
So back to you, Ashlyn, as well. Sorry, I'm not picking on you, just you're the first one in line. In terms of your background, what drew you to the A-League beyond just playing for the Roar as well? Do you have any prior contacts or any experience or awareness?
Yeah, so I graduated college in December, and in between December and now, I was just kind of bouncing around with different pro teams and got the opportunity to train with some NWSL teams. So when Alex reached out, I was kind of just taking that in, seeing the visions and, just seeing all that. And when I was comparing the NWSL, USL, which is in America, to here, I ultimately wanted to kind of go overseas, something new. I've spent my whole life in America. So wanting something new, in America, you can't really guarantee the same values that you kind of have, and here it aligns perfectly. So that kind of drew me, and then ultimately the experienced players that the team has and stuff, I wanted to play with not just Americans, I wanted to play with all different types of people where they came from and stuff, and so I think that's what kind of also drew me as well.
So, Bente, your background, for those of us who might still be learning about you guys as players, because you're only a couple of weeks into pre-season, do you want to give us a little bit of a background in terms of where you've played and how you found your way here in Brisbane?
Yeah, so I'm from the Netherlands, so sorry for my English, I'm trying. Yeah, the orange suits me, so that's good. I've played for 10 seasons in the top league in Holland, so I've played for FC Twente and Ajax. So I think I'm a more experienced player, and that's I think a big reason why Alex and the staff. There was like how do you say it? I think that's a big reason for me coming to the club. The role that I have wanted to do something really different, like 10 years in Holland, and I'm really glad that it's Australia, because the country is really great, the club's really great, so I'm 2 or 3 weeks in now, so I'm really happy to be here. So I'm a bit adjusting still, but it will work out.
No, same question for you, just about your background and how you found yourself here in Brisbane.
I born and raised up in Switzerland and played for the Academy of Basel until the under 21. With 19 I moved to Serbia in the 2nd division, the Red Star. And after that I moved to Radnički Niš in the Super League. I was there for 4 years. This July I came to Brisbane and bless you. And I'm very happy to be here, honestly. It's a nice experience, it's a nice country, nice people, and I love challenges, and that's also a big challenge for me with 23 to move alone from Switzerland to Serbia with the time difference. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and to accept this challenge, and let's go.
Dean, we're going to change this up a little bit for you because we've seen you grow up playing in the A-League and moving over to Europe and whatnot. So I think many of us here might have heckled you when you're an opposing player, but how have you evolved as a player since we might have last seen you in person in the A-League?
Yeah, I think majority of the opposing fans like to heckle me, but it's nothing new. For myself, I think when I was in the A-League last 8 to 10 years ago, I think going back overseas and playing the minutes that I did and winning a few trophies over there, I really matured as a player, and I felt that I became more of a leader. Whereas when I was younger, you could say I was a bit of a hothead, and that comes from me wanting to be a winner. Because as soon as I cross that white line, I'll do anything I can to win. And so I think it's been a learning curve for me to be able to curb my emotions and put it more in a positive way, and sort of lead the team in a way where they can see that it's a more mature approach. So for me, it was a blessing going back overseas and being able to be a part of teams that had leaders where I could learn, and I feel like I can bring that back to the Raw.
Right.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure hothead is actually a good thing for a goalkeeper as well, so that could be a good thing. So we'll go to some of the submitted questions that came in prior, and we'll start off with this A-League men's focus one, but it does also apply to the women from Kevin, and I think you kind of answered this one already, but we'll ask it just to be clear. Have you set a target for the season within the group, and if so, does that include the word finals?
Yeah, I think I answered it fairly clearly, and I think I'd like to pass over to the head coach, or both head coaches anyway, but they know exactly what our targets are. It's very, very clear. This is, as I've always said, this is a big club. This is a top 4 year in, year out club. This is a finals club, and this is a club that has to compete for silverware, and we have to be in Asia. There's no reason for me to prolong it and say this is going to happen in the next 5 years because we're going to do this. No. It started 13 weeks ago. It started 2 weeks ago with the women's team. They're very, very, very clear. It's unambiguous what our targets are. Now, the job is on, as Dean said, the players that go across the white line, the staff that go out every day at training. They know exactly the standards that have been set, and I can't be clearer.
Michael, high expectations here. Was that part of the draw coming to Brisbane as well, a chance to rebuild this club into a contender?
Yeah, look, for all the years that I participated as a player and as a coach at Adelaide United, I don't think I've missed too many seasons playing finals. And I'm a competitor from a young kid, and the players know that as well. That competing, pushing yourself every day to be the best you can and to play finals, there's no other reason than just to participate, and I mentioned that before. So for me, I was living life nicely in Europe, coaching in Europe, And to be quite honest, when I received the first call, I was a bit like, okay, I'm fine here. I've been here now for 7.5 years. I'm going to stay. I received a second call. The second call was with Zac, and we had a long conversation, and we discussed a little bit about my philosophy and how I see the A-League and the team and so on. But to be quite honest, I didn't think nothing much of it at that time. It was when I met Kaz in London, and we had a 4-hour meeting, and went deep into things, that I saw that we were aligned in terms of Zac, Kaz and myself, which I think is very, very important in professional sport. And all three of us knew where we wanted to head and what we wanted to achieve. And when I flew home back to Athens from London, and I told my wife we're heading back to Australia, because that's the way I felt, I knew that there was something special that we could build here, because I knew what the Raw was all about. And as long as these two guys were aligned, we all wanted to take the club as well, the players, I knew that something could happen. So when I went back home and I told her we're moving, she was a bit like, okay, I wasn't expecting this, but here we are now, and the players are quite clear. They know exactly what we're all about and what we try to achieve from day one. I believe we brought in players with a winning mentality, and I spoke about developing a winning mentality. It's a big part. And from the very first day, every minute, every second of the day that we're working towards achieving something great and turning this big club around. And like I said in the first press conference, which I hadn't even written it down or thought about it, feel Suncorp. Because I really believe that if you feel Suncorp, we're doing something right. We'll be playing really good football, we're making people proud, we're making people excited. And I think we're on that journey now, I believe so, with the work that we're seeing the players do day in, day out, week in, week out. And a lot of you don't get to see that behind the scenes, how hard they're working. And I'm very proud of them, and we're very excited that it's all starting very soon. So I know I can speak like Kaz, but I speak from the heart. Yeah, we mean business, and Dean mentioned that. We mean business, and we know what it takes.
Good.
Well, I suppose as well, take this question from Nicholas, which is essentially a follow-up. In terms of playing style as well, we know the Raw were famous for the Raw Salona under Ange Postecoglou, it evolved under Mike Mulvey. Nicholas asks, will Brisbane Raw's approach this season be centred on playing to win and taking the initiative, or do you see more value in a cautious style that focuses on not losing? And I suppose I've got a little bit of an addition to that as well, especially getting to see those two friendlies you played against the NPL Queensland All-Stars. It felt like there was a real emphasis on just controlling the game as well against a team that would have been coming out to prove a point against you as well. So can you talk about your style philosophy? I know that's a cliche, I'm very sorry about that, but I've got to go down that line.
We could be here all night.
That's okay, I've only got work tomorrow, so.
We'll get another chunk.
Yeah, get on. No, to summarise it very easily in one sentence, I like to attack. I'll attack anything I want in life.
Please not me.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that if I want something, I'll go get it. You've got to be on the front foot. I don't believe in going backwards and waiting for it. I chased my career in Europe. I took a chance. I took 4 boys and a wife across, and I took that chance. I hear many coaches today say, oh, it's difficult, they're in comfort zone. No, if you want something, you go get it. If our team wants to win, they go out and get it. Whether that means with the ball or without the ball. With the ball, can we attack? Can we break lines? Can we go get goals? We go get them. If we don't have the ball, we go get it. We go fight it and get it back as quick as possible. There's going to be times where, yeah, we're going to have to sit back and we're going to have to absorb some pressure, because that's the game. It's not like... The game's changed and evolved. What I'm trying to get to is that 15 years ago, there were teams that were completely dominated. Barcelona, Ajax, or Brisbane here in Australia, all right? And a little bit, to some extent, Adelaide at the time with Joseph Gumbel. But we were dominating with the ball, dominating. But now the game's evolved in terms that everyone is playing football. So now what it comes to is, again, it's turning back to what it was. You've got to be physical, you've got to be quick, And you've got to have a bloody good mentality. Because to be passing the ball just for the sake of keeping it, that's not me so much. I want to go out there and win a game. And these guys want to go out and win a game. There's going to be times, yes, that we have to control, but the main focus is go out and get it. And we've got a mantra that started without even thinking too much about it. And it was like, anyone, anywhere, anytime, we fight to win. So, I think that explains it.
Well, hopefully we don't need it, but it would be nice to see some late Suncorp magic. Those later raw goals that the club became famous for at the height of their success.
Yeah.
And even a little bit before, Sergio Van Dijk against Adelaide in 07, 08, I think, Neil. You might remember that? Not because you're the oldest person here, but... All right, Alex, over to you. So I'll slightly change this question a little bit because you've been here for a couple of years now. We saw the Royal women get off to a fantastic start last year, then there were injuries and other things that saw them miss the finals in the last couple of weeks. Has that fueled your hunger? Do you feel like you've built the squad that can overcome those potential hiccups as the season goes along this time?
Thanks, James. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm in a little bit of a different position than Mickey, and I can definitely tell you that over the last 2 years, you know, myself, Kaz, and Zac have not taken a single day off at all. The amount of work that's gone in over that period has been immense from everybody. So, but no, last year obviously just missing out on finals. I was not a very nice person to be around towards the end of the season when it wasn't going well. It's definitely served as a lot of motivation for me to get this club and this program where it deserves to be. So I'm very, very confident that we've built a team this year that has the depth, has the talent, and I think from a football standpoint, control is probably the main word that we use, and just being proactive in everything that we do. So when we have the ball, we saw last year, I think we scored the second most goals in the league, and one of our strikers only scored 1 goal. So there's definitely going to be attacking intent. Our fan base, definitely loved it last year at Perry Park, and they're going to love it this year at Imperial. But definitely bringing a little bit of pragmatism to our game, I think is something that we're going to be focusing on for the preseason. The football we played, especially at the start of the year last year, was fantastic. But I think there has to be a pragmatic side to it, which I think is kind of what Mickey's talking about as well. So it's a balance of both, but we're going to attack, we're going to go get the ball, we're going to make forward runs, we're going to score a lot of goals, so it's going to be highly entertaining. Just balancing that out with the pragmatism is going to be pretty key for us to getting where we need to be, and there's no reason why this team can't win the league based on the first 2 weeks of preseason.
Well, sounds like you guys have got things under control. I won't send you the EAFC or Football Manager tactics we got sent through either as well, but I've got a bit of a long question from one, so I'll let you guys read it on the iPad if any of this needs refreshing while we're talking. We'll start with you. Last season we saw a lack of consistency in team selection and tactics. Players in form were often overlooked until late in the season, and lineups changed week to week without building cohesion. In pre-season so far, it seems there's been a lot of rotation and new players coming in as we move into the season proper. Can you outline how you'll balance rotation with rewarding performance, and will you commit to a clear game plan and consistent selection so high-performing players can cement their spots and the squad can build cohesion week by week?
Big question. No, I think there's a very clear game plan, but the good thing was that we've had 3 or 4 months to work on it. Where in Europe you get a month, national team you get a week. So for me it was a joy to spend a lot of time with the boys and to implement that we can adapt 2-3 formations and be able to press in many different ways, but to also play in ways that suit the type of players we've got, because every player is different, so not just one system fits every player. I think we're in a really good way in terms of that and what what they've learned and what they're able to do. I really like their intensity. I like the team's intensity. I like the team's intent. And at the end of the day, football is more than just being technically proficient or a good player. You need to be a fighter. You need to be a winner. I want to mention that again. You need to be together. And one thing that we put in place from day one is our values, which guide our selection and the way we go about it, how we work. So when we talk about standards and culture and all that sort of stuff, it's very clear to us that one, we have to have passion. Geez, we play the sport we love. You have to fight. When you love something, you fight for it. So they know that. So yes, they're technically proficient, they're good players, but if they're not fighting for what they love, they're not going to play. Attitude. I mentioned having a competitor's mindset. What do I mean by that? I mean every day they work harder to improve. Every day 1% better. It's credit. They're going to be better for it. They have that attitude where they're always positive. No excuses. Find solutions. Find a way. There's been games here in preseason. Find a way. You don't lose. Team first. Putting the team first. You'll do anything for your team. You'll only go further being part of a team, not being as an individual. And they've shown that during the pre-season, and they know. They'll have to do what it takes to put the team first. If you have to run extra, you run extra for your teammate. If you're going to get a red card because you're going to help your team win, you're going to get that red card. Go to that extreme. Because you put the team first. Put the result first. It's not about yourself. And hard work, I'm pretty happy with the way they're working. Because hard work to me is just a given. It's a given. They'll have to go till the very end. They'll have to fight to the very end. And then, when they can't go anymore, you'll bring in another player. But if they tick those boxes every single day, that's how they get selected. Because that's what it really comes down to. Every player that's there is technically good enough. Every player that's there has been scouted, watched, interviewed to be there. But at the end of the day, if they tick those boxes, they'll play. And they have to do that consistently over a whole season. So in terms of rotation, this, that, the other, really, when a team's doing well, they pick themselves. You pick the best. There's no coach that goes out there and says, I'll put this one in today. They pick themselves at training, they pick themselves with the way they work. And like I said, passion, attitude, team first, hard work. They're the things that we look at every single day.
Yeah, just echoing that. I think setting some clear values at the start of the pre-season, both on and off the pitch, and essentially you're not getting into the team without those values being upheld and followed. So I always say to the players that are not playing, you don't give me a choice. Don't give me a choice to not pick you. And I think with the squad depth we have in both programs, I think it makes our job easier. I know they say that gives us good problems, but it's definitely a luxury that I don't take for granted. I know last year we didn't have that depth, and this year we definitely do. So if you perform, you're going to play. It's very, very simple, and that comes through every single training session. Similar to what Mickey was saying, every single opportunity you can take, you have to take it. And it always comes back to those values being upheld, both on and off the pitch. And if you do that, as I said, you don't give me a choice but to play you, because all I care about is winning. And if someone is going to help me do that from a playing standpoint, they're going to play. It's as simple as that, really. So very, very black and white. I think Mickey and I are pretty similar in that. Very black and white. If you're going to help us win, then you will play.
All right, so let's go back to Kaz and Zac again. It's been a while since we've heard from the two of you. So we've got this question from Chrissy Hannaford. Last year the women's matches were at Perry Park. This year they're over at Imperial Court Stadium. Can you just take us through some of the reasons behind that decision beyond just the phenomenal pizzas at Imperial Court?
Yeah, look, it's okay. This is another. Let's start it. I like to give context, right? This is all right. it's important to have context again. In the Australian landscape with football clubs, and I'm talking at the A-League level, the way that the model was developed was that at the end of the day, we're all tenants of stadiums, whether it's on the men's or women's side. Right now, every club is at the whim of a tenancy. And that's probably a discussion for later. I'm sure the stadium issue will come up because, you know, that's something that's in the back of my mind every day. So at the core of that, you know, we're a tenant at Suncorp Stadium, we're a tenant this season at KO. I'll let Zac explain if we've got some other exciting opportunities that will come up. But Perry Park, it's no secret, and I've said it over and over, we know that that is the future of football in terms of Brisbane. That's the spiritual home of football, there's no secret. But we are running a professional women's football team. And as Zac said before, this is another belief that I have. It's not only a belief for the Raw, but it's a belief in the league, that I believe the A-League Women's League should be a top 3 or 4 league in the world. Now, by contrast, I can comfortably sit here and say that the A-League Men's will never be a top 3 or 4 league in the world. It is not positioned in that manner, no matter how we try and work it. And that's why, as the A-League has evolved, we've tried to find where we sit in global football, in Asian football, and that's why the trend or the push towards, you know, there's this terminology around development league. I agree with Michael, Zac and I agree immensely that we don't necessarily think it's a development league. I think that's definitely an opportunity, but as we've always said to our coaching staff, you will sell players when you're winning. Winning teams, it's not about let's go and find 11 young players to optimise value. You will not get the valuations if you're not a winning club. So that's, I've gone off onto a tangent. Back to the stadium. We're running a very, very professional A-League women's side that we take immense pride in. And so when we go to negotiate stadia, our venue hire agreements for an A-League season, there's a lot of elements that come into play. It's not as simple as, can we turn up on the weekend and put a game on? There's a lot of elements that go into it, and the current, let's say, sub-lessor or sub-lessee that has rights to Perry Park, the Strikers, unfortunately we could not come to a commercial arrangement that would allow us to take the women's program to the next level. Now what I mean by that is the facilities are not at a standard that our fans, members, players expect. We had received formal reports from the PFA, and this is guided by the whole playing cohort, that the stadium was voted as the worst stadium across the league. Now that's voted by opposition players, not from our own players. And this is feedback we have to take on seriously as a football club and as administrators, and we were not yet given sufficient comfort that those matters could be rectified in time for this upcoming A-League season. So Perry Park, of course, is a fantastic venue, but we take the feedback from our own fan and member base very, very seriously. Accessibility issues, for one. The change rooms are not up to a standard. Now, I know there's a bigger discussion around, well, that should feed into the bigger play around, we need support, we need funding. We'll keep that separate, but in terms of us being able to move forward, look, our initial intent was to play at Perry Park, but what we were able to do was enter into a more sophisticated, let's say, deal with Imperial Court. We believe that we're going to be able to deliver a very good and high-level match day experience. We believe that our ladies will have a pitch and a surface that's of a very, very high standard. The change rooms are up to spec. And we also have to be respectful to the opposition and travelling party. At the end of the day, we're a professional league, and we had girls from the opposition, changing outside in a car park last season. And that's not where we want to be represented as a football club. Sport, and we want to do well, but you want to host a club and an opposing team with respect as well. So there's some of the real reasons that went into our thought process. And for us, it's about listening to the fans, listening to the players, listening to as much feedback as we can and being able to deliver a top standard.
Yeah, Perry Park's dangerous for the fans as well. Trying to get in that stand.
And I will just quickly apologise to Chrissy. I got a question ahead on my list here. So Chrissy's question was actually, what is the reason the women can't play back-to-back with the men's game? I would assume at Suncorp or at KO Stadium as well. So that was Chrissy's question.
In regards to the double headers, it was actually fan feedback. When Kaz and I took the time to actually speak to Maj and the Royal Hawks, etc., they really wanted that separation. So for Kaz and I, when we looked at the season, and as everyone can appreciate with all the issues with Western United, the draws changed 3,000 times. And all the issues with obviously Suncorp being locked down for concerts, etc. We've tried to massage it as much as we can. And we have looked at double headers, but the feedback overwhelmingly was that they wanted to be separation. So we respected that.
Can I just add an important aspect there? There will be 2 double headers this season, I believe. And we're aiming for those double headers at KO. I believe that they will be locked in. It's important for us, as I mentioned before, and I just want to reiterate this, that we take the program very, very seriously. So it's important for us to deliver a football product for the girls, but also for the staff, where we take on as much of this feedback as possible. We want them to have their own sense of home. We want them to have their own sense of agency, let's say, in terms of what they're able to deliver. I'll be honest, this is honest feedback. When I started, I thought, wow, let's put double headers on, that's great. And that's the naivety that I had in the early days. But, I put my hand up and that's honest feedback, and we take the feedback on from everyone. So I thought we had in the first season, my first season, a really successful doubleheader at Suncorp. We had the Indigenous round, and I thought that was a great turnout, and we had over 12,000 fans at Suncorp. Fantastic day. So look, I'm sure we'll have more of those coming into the future, but it's important for us to sort of give you that feedback.
And I suppose as well, if you'll allow me to go on a brief tangent, with Imperial Court Stadium, I think anyone who was at the Australia Cup clash between Brisbane City and Olympic back at the end of July as well, just how good the atmosphere can be there between 2 Brisbane clubs, and we know the Royal Court will definitely do a fantastic job helping to create a buzzing atmosphere there at Imperial Court as well, wherever they are set up. So certainly something to look forward to there. But we'll go back to the players, because 2 of you have had a chance to play at Imperial Court Stadium in the friendly against the NPL All-Stars a couple of weeks ago. So why don't we go through your impressions of what is going to be your home ground for this season?
Yeah, I actually loved the field. I liked, first and foremost, the fans were amazing on a scrimmage. I mean, come on. So just being able to be surrounded by fans was, I thought, really cool. And then I thought the change rooms and everything like that were up to par. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Ashlyn. The atmosphere was really great. The fans, they make the atmosphere great. So for me, that's the most important. And yeah, the other stuff, like the field, it's just like you want to play. So it doesn't matter how or what it looks like, but I think it's just great to play there. And for me, it was perfect. You just need grass, a ball, two goals, and I'm fine. So for me, I'm good.
Can I just say, just adding on to what Bente is just saying, this is actually the other reason why we recruit these 2 individuals, because at the end of the day, get these girls on a grass pitch with 2 goals, a couple of people who come to support them, and that's the reason why we wanted to recruit these people, because as much as they're fantastic players, they're actually fantastic people, and this is how we are going to build this culture, not only to be a high-performing winning team, but also so that the fans can really get behind these girls this season. Because last year, we averaged the biggest crowd across the whole league, and that was really big for us in a difficult year, right? In a really difficult year. So we're really excited to watch these girls at Imperial, and they're very, very talented, but it's important for us as a club to really support them this season.
And we did also have one last question on Imperial Corp Stadium from someone who wished to remain anonymous. Have you got plans to talk about the adjustments to help fan comfort in terms of seat cushions for sitting on the concrete grandstands there? Because we've had the men's team play the friendly there against Auckland just after their Australia Cup clash, and also the women's matches as well. And that's something that has popped up in the fan feedback so far.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it leads sort of from where I left off around Perry Park, and that's, we are putting the emphasis on the delivery and also the match day experience for the fan at the forefront of our decision making as well. We won't get every aspect perfect. We'll hopefully get as many cushions as we can, and hopefully they're orange ones. But we definitely are thinking about all of these elements. We may miss a few little pieces, so we encourage feedback. The admin team are great. We're thinking about all these little details. We're even trying to convert one of the corporate rooms into a quiet space. We're trying to make sure it's accessible. We're trying to make sure we're bumping in more food trucks to make sure that the lines aren't too big, because I know those pizzas are, they take a little bit of time to come out of the oven, but it's a great spectacle for the event. But another area that we're trying to invest and we're pushing is to actually put a broadcast tower on the opposite side, so that from a broadcast perspective, we're going to be facing into the best crowd in the Women's League this season. So we're really trying our best to look at all the little details to make sure that the fan experience, first and foremost, is enhanced compared to last season. And then these girls are going to do the job on pitch to make sure that we're all singing at the end of every game.
Right, well, we've got a few more questions to get through that were submitted by the fans. We'll try and run through these and then open up to any questions from the fan forum, because I'm aware it is a Wednesday night and I'm sure most of us have work in the morning. So we'll start off with the infrastructure section. So with this question from Nicholas. At the last fan forum, there were discussions around investment into the infrastructure side of the club, be it training grounds, sports clubs, academy, etc. Have you got an update on where we are with that?
So, for the fans that haven't had the opportunity to sort of see what we've been doing, we have activated Brendale, definitely invested a lot of significant capex into the facility to ensure that our A-League women's side are full-time there now. So that's a significant improvement for us, and a promise that we made in the last sort of fan forum, notwithstanding some of the challenges that we did face off-field during that period. There will be, and there has been, a lot of progress around a clubhouse and that type of infrastructure. So from the perspective of where I sit right now, and I know there's some other questions that I've seen, some questions, I'm not going to repeat them, but with a little bit of reflection, when Zac and I came in the first week, we received a phone call. And this is, again, I'm not trying to diminish, the work of anyone before my time, but just the reality of what we stepped into was that in our first week, we stepped in and, you almost just presume that an A-League club is going to be at a certain level, and you take for granted infrastructure and facilities. And in our first week, I think Zac calls me and says, I've just had our men's head coach call me, we don't have a training field. So it sounds crazy, and for me, it's just a little bit of reflection of where we are today, and I would say that our facilities are of a very good standard, both on the men's and women's side. We have all of the tools that are required to be successful in football, and one thing we can do, and I'll say this with hopefully a little bit of humility, but I don't think there's an administrator currently in A-League that can actually sit there and say, right, I've actually been there on their side and know what I need to be successful. And not to say that you need to be like that to be a successful administrator, but we've been able to have that insight to understand where we were and where we are now, the investments we have been able to make, slowly but surely. Right now we've come a long way. Again, I won't go into too much detail, but we didn't have much to come into, and I believe now we have all of the necessary infrastructure at least to have successful teams.
And the question you alluded to before, Kaz, and I might get you to answer this, Zac, in terms of when the two of you came in, it was pretty clear you had a plan in terms of what you wanted to do in terms of running this club in a certain way, but things have sort of gone awry, certain forks in the road where unexpected things have popped up. So what have you learned when it comes to running a football club? Because the two of you are first-time administrators as well, so what are some of the, I suppose, surprise moments taught you over the last couple of years? Good and bad.
I'll just follow on with the question from what Kaz was saying in terms of the infrastructure. And Kaz and I always like to come to these sessions and really exude honesty in terms of where we're at right now and where we're going over the next few months. And we've probably come to these fan forums at times over the last, say, year or two, and really given a picture of where we see ourselves in the next, say, quarter or 2 quarters, and then things pop up, right? Things happen. And I think that for Kaz and I, it doesn't take us off the path of where we're going. You know, the fans want us, when we come and sit at these sessions, to say, hey, there's a Leeds club coming in 3 months' time, there's a new boutique coming in Perry Park. And the reality is, every single day, we are working on this infrastructure strategy so that we can deliver for the fan base, and hopefully in the near future we can come to these fan forums and say it's on the horizon. But the reality is, things pop up. And in the last quarter, we had something that really did pop up, and we had to handle it, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here tonight and looking forward to a season ahead, unlike other teams, unfortunately. So for Kaz and I, it's about going on a journey, making sure that you recruit the best people. We've learned that. We've gone through that in a very direct way. We believe that we've got it right this year. And at the same time, just keep rocking up every day and keep working hard. But just building that infrastructure strategy. I want everyone to leave tonight knowing that Kaz and I and the broader team are working day and night to get this football club a boutique stadium for not just the club, but for football in Queensland, to get a community club, because that's what the fans deserve, so that we don't have to go and hire a beautiful venue in the LA. We can go to our own community club, and we're going to continue to tirelessly work on that. And there's other parts as well to build upon the training facilities, etc.
Thank you. We'll move on to this question from Simon then. So, stadium, it's clear we'll not be getting government help. What do we need from the club and the league to show that Backeries is an investment worth contributing to? What other partnerships have been explored? When can we get over our bigger is better mentality? That was a quote in the question, I wasn't trying to be patronising. And look at the other great leagues all over Europe for examples of amazing 10 to 15,000 size stadiums.
As Zac said, he answered it perfectly. There's not a day that we don't turn up and at least have a really decent session around how do we actually make this a reality. You can conceptualise all you want, you can draw the 3D drawings you want, you can do all of that, but the reality is, at least in my time and before I eventually or inevitably move on at some point, is that I want to leave that behind. That's a really big goal. This club, or for me, every club in the A-League needs to be playing in a boutique-sized or let's say a fit-for-purpose type of stadium. We've proven as our own club that we can fill out a 60,000 seater. So I don't have an issue with the fact that Suncorp is possibly too big. It's not too big when we're winning things. I guarantee you that if we're winning week in, week out, we'll fill every single stadium that we play in, because we have the best fans in the country. I don't say it just because they're our fans, but it's proven. If Broncos are winning, the fans are there. If the Lions are winning, they're there. If Raw's winning, the fans will turn up. So we're not oblivious to that. There are tough times like last season when, you're going loss after loss after loss. I'm no different to everyone sitting in this room or everyone at home. who's going, well, what the hell's going on? I wouldn't go to the game. So that's why I said it deeply hurts. But what is very different is to have your own stadium, your own home. That's a very, very different feeling. And you can't replicate that in the way that the A-League is being modelled. The MLS have got it right. The MLS mandated owners and clubs to build stadiums. I think Miami and Beckham is onto his second one already. So, look, I don't have an update that's going to satisfy everyone's needs tonight, but there definitely will be updates. We're looking at all of our options. And I think that we have to ensure that we're not just looking at one option only. That's key, because that one option has been looked at for the last 30 years. When I was still playing in the A-League, it was being looked at. So, not being insensitive to that, but Perry is obviously our priority. We're trying to work closely with Football Queensland on that, and everyone knows that. But as a football club, there has to come a point that we move forward on our own 2 feet as well and say we need a home, because we've got 2 teams that play at the highest level in this country in their respective leagues, both on the men's and women's side, that we believe could fill week in, week out, a 15,000, 20,000 seat stadium. And the entertainment value and the fact that we can build our own home is something we have to do for this club.
Yeah. And I think as well, for those of us who went to any of the festival of football matches at Perry Park, be it the Cup final days, NPL, FQPL Grand Final days, or the friendlies, we've sort of seen how it could work in terms of the temporary stands being brought in and around the facilities at Perry Park as well. So here's hoping a solution can be found sooner rather than later. But in terms of making the best of Suncorp Stadium for the time being, which is our home venue for the Raw fans and the club, has there been any thought put into trying to make it feel a bit more like a home ground as well, in terms of honouring past successes for the club? I think to the TD Garden in Boston, which is shared by the basketball and hockey teams, they've got championship banners for both teams and retired numbers up in the stands. Has there been any discussion with Suncorp maybe about trying to put up some sort of public recognition in the stands for, say, Queensland Red Super Rugby winners these years, Brisbane Roar A-League men's and women's premierships and championships this year, to try and make it feel a bit more like a home, and like the Roar and the other teams as well have more of a presence there? And also the Broncos premierships as well, we should probably mention.
I'll start this off. The model for me, ultimately, we have to respect that there's a hierarchy here. It's government owned, Stadiums Queensland's in there, there's an operator. There's a lot of layers that makes it very, very complex. And I know it sounds like a bit of an excuse, but you're dealing with 3 or 4 different layers. So, I understand what you're saying in terms of, should there be a statue of Thomas Broich or Anja at the front? Yeah, probably. But it's a process. There's bureaucracy. There's a lot going on. We do our best to be as respectful as possible as a tenant, but as I said, we won't be able to have the outcomes that we want as a football club, not only for the Raw but across the A-League, until clubs themselves are controlling their own destiny in terms of stadium and venue. It is unfortunate for a club like Western United that was on a path towards that vision. And whatever the media has speculated, and there's always more to a story, but the point was they were ambitious to push towards a model where they would build their own stadium. Tarnee was a fantastic facility where they were able to train but also play games. And that's something we have to look at seriously for not only us, but all the clubs across the league.
All right, so we'll move on to the merchandise questions, and we've got 2 similar questions from Ian and Martin. Ian feels very strongly. Can you please confirm that Brisbane Roar will wear orange and black this year and not those horrendous blue, purple and white vomit colours from last year? I'd be seeing a doctor if the vomit was blue, purple and white. Is there any chance that these jerseys can be banned from the stadium? Can we never put these colours on again? The Roar is orange and black. And from Martin as well, given that Orange is our unique branding in the A-League, who is it that makes the decision on game day about which strip we'll be playing in, and why do they regularly decide against wearing our orange strip even when there is no colour clash? I'm sure we wore a changed strip in the Unite round last season when we were the home team, and there are many other occurrences of us wearing a non-orange strip when we could have worn orange. It makes us recognisable, and we should wear it at every opportunity. I know there are a couple of other Raw fans I know who feel very strongly about clubs should be wearing their home jersey at every opportunity. He's a Man United fan, so maybe I would be wearing that jersey at the moment. But for these questions, I'll pass it over to you, Kaz, because I don't know how I'm going to land this plane otherwise. We did just launch the new kits. So.
Yeah, we did launch the new kits. No, in regards to the kit colours, of course, as a club, we listen to the fans, and if the fans come to us over the next season and say that the orange and black resonates with the fans, of course, we're going to listen. I think that the conversations that Kaz and I have had over the last couple of years is that there was a feeling that, as Queenslanders, I've been speaking as a passionate Queenslander, that we wanted to bring some sort of maroon back, back into the realm of our colours. But the truth is, there's a lot of work done behind the scenes on these kits. It's probably 6 months, 4 trips. Kaz and I are going to China, and we're really proud of what we've been able to achieve with the home jersey this year, with the orange and maroon, with the all maroon with the away, and something a little bit different with the third. But as we say about everything in terms of double headers, etc., if the fans and the feedback is that the orange and black resonates with the Raw, and that's what we want to go back to, James. We'll go back to the orange and black, but for this year, we're orange and maroon.
Well, I suppose the Raw fans do have a fairly prominent memory of orange and maroon, with Orange Sunday 1 in that kit as well, which I think I might actually still have one of those sitting around somewhere at home. But this other question is from first name withheld, but Mr. or Ms. McGahey. Will there be more merchandise easily available to purchase this season? For example, caps, polos, training shirts available to purchase, not just on game days. So I know last year there was a fan shop set up through Amazon. Is that going to continue this year?
No, so it's a little bit of an update. We are working more closely with our stadium partner, Event Merch. So as of tomorrow, 9 AM, they're going to be helping us a lot more with our operations and logistics of all of our merchandise, to explore and to provide the fan base with a bigger offering. So the online store will go live tomorrow at 9 AM. I believe it's launching with all the kits and a lot more merchandise, but to your point, James, it's something that we recognise. We moved away from New Balance 2 years ago. It was more of a financial decision, to be upfront. That deal was going on a year running on the deal, and we're exploring every opportunity at the moment of what that looks like moving forward. But in regards to the near term and where the merchandise offering is at the moment, we'll be in Rebel, we'll be at Soccer Lord, we'll be at Legends on Caxton. Of course, we'll be there on a game day. But we explored the online, but we explored the Amazon opportunity last year because we wanted to do something a little bit different. But we've gone and partnered with the Net Merch for the season, and again, we'll see how it runs, but we're very confident that will do very well.
And this is just a personal follow-up as well. Do you know what size of kits will be available down to? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one here with young children who would like to get their own Raw jerseys.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that there's been a lot of feedback in terms of the sizing, and we take that on board. It comes obviously down to the manufacturer, but with the youth kits, there will be youth kits that go down, but I think from what I've seen and what the players have worn, it's usually a size or two smaller. So if you're large normally, I think you order a 2X. If you're a medium, you're usually large. But with the youth kits, with the kids, there will be youth kits, absolutely.
I'm a Kids XL, by the way. All right, so let's move this. Joy's still being 35 and waiting for my growth spurt. Anyway, let's open this up to questions from the floor. I think we've heard enough from me. So, is there anyone who would like to venture a question? All right, well, time to get up and go for a walk, and hope the microphone is long enough.
Yeah, firstly, all of you, thanks for turning up. You guys are about to sit through a lot of back and forth, and not a huge number here, but we hope in the next forum, you guys' performances have warrant a bigger crowd, bigger turn up. And I know there's plenty of people online too, probably. My question is about communication. I know we've got Joseph here, and and it's one that I've raised at previous fan forums. I think it's definitely gone up a level this year, which is terrific. The videos have been great, and well done to all the people that participated in those. What is being done in terms of promoting the games and the club on a wider basis, like billboards, radio time, TV time, getting the message out? Because when we talk about this club, when we've had finals, we filled Suncorp, everybody's wearing orange. Where are all those people? Are you in communication with all of those people and encouraging them to get the games?
Please welcome Mike Esposito, one of the new additions this off-season.
Thank you. Nice to meet from afar. A few here today. Just to answer your question there, just talking about, I think on radio and TV, everything there. I think having the time that I did working in the A-Leagues, where I had to help 24 different teams across the league sort of garner that attention. There's actually a lot of space out there that people need to fill. And I think I can give you one example that we've already been working with, and there's stuff happening tomorrow at 6:20 in the morning. Alex will be on there. ABC, for example, is the amount of coverage that they need to fill their space week to week on radio, airtime, everything is enormous. So if we can get one interview, for example, let's just use one interview with Alex, that'll run 15 to 20 times because they will use it again and again. We're working to have Kaz on Wide World of Sports, like 4BC. That'll run multiple times and also run their podcast. So all these different branches that you can use. We've got a media day this week on Friday with external media, and I think from their point of view, Channel 10, where the relationship has gotten a lot better over the years, but I think for that external other media, your 7s, your 9s, and so on, that are really hard to crack because they've obviously got their dedication to different sports, is we have to think outside the box, and we've got to go to different places. I mean, we know where we train, Brendale and Meakin, media's not going to come there. That's just the hard fact of it. So right now where we are, we have to go to them. So we've literally been working with today, like next Tuesday, we'll be doing a player press conference at Mount Cootha. Let's take it right to the media, right to all the broadcast centres are right there. Let's have a beautiful backdrop. That's something that's a bit different. Let's activate our partners. We've got your Value Dentals, for example, our new major partner. Can we get a player there getting, we can mock up them, getting nice, fresh, clean ahead of the weekend, and then use that, and then have a press conference out front or something, because they're these different sort of, I'd use the younger word corny, but they work because it's different cuts and it's something that's just different from the week to week. Instead of just always having Michael's beautiful face just stood at a press conference behind a wall at our training facility. So I think in that sense, it's just thinking outside the box and using the great players that we have here. The things that they're interested in, their hobbies and all those different sorts of things, to get in those lifestyle spaces. That a lot of the time, if they're just a good story, people will take them. They don't necessarily have to be an NRL player or a rugby player or all those sorts of things. So, we've had some great stories here tonight about where the players have been. They're just interesting things, and I think for a lot of the time, I'm talking longer than Kaz here, that sort of getting that coverage in the news corps and everything else. Now, there is an agreement that the APL have that means there's coverage on a Friday and a Monday. But I think there's, in the past, there's been a lot of sort of feeling sorry for ourselves in a media sense, that people aren't covering us because we're not this, that, or whatever. But I think a lot of the times just we're not rolling up our sleeves and finding other ways to get out there. And I think a lot of the feedback and the work that we've had with News Corp especially is that if there's a good story, you can just get yourselves out there. We want to write about it. And they base all their stuff off clicks. What clicks? What's interesting? So if we can use the players to our advantage and tell their story more in interesting ways, we're going to get coverage. And I think I'm happy to report so far that we've seen that. And now that we're heading into a season with games and all that sort of content, then hopefully it'll get a lot better.
James.
Hello, Neil.
Hi. Thank you again. Look, I'd just like to make this comment, that we've seen some great signings this year, and that's amongst the players, and that's been really exciting. But I've got to say, Zac and Kaz, congratulations, because I think one of the great signings for this year, or two of the great signings, have been Joseph and Jordan. We've seen the benefit of that. We've seen the interesting stuff happening. I think I saw Kaz on the ABC at one stage twice in the day on a couple of different things, and so it's working, and congratulations.
Right, we got any questions for the players?
Three questions.
Oh, there. Sorry.
Wasn't going to play for.
We'll get to you guys instead.
Just to follow up a couple of things that you said, Kaz, just for clarification. Firstly, thanks everyone for showing up. It's been very beneficial. When you mentioned you're looking at other options for stadium, can you just confirm that it'll be in Brisbane, not outside of Brisbane? And secondly, you mentioned the Indigenous round. Is there any intent of the club to do either Indigenous round or Pride round this year? Because last year that didn't happen.
Thanks, Stu, and thanks for like your support as well around what you've been doing for fans. You know, that's really, I don't know if everyone sort of understands that we do have our quarterly, or at least fairly regular catch-ups for our fan representatives. So thanks to Stu for continuing to put that hard work in. On the first one, the stadium has to be in Brisbane. Sorry, not Queensland. It's I mean, that is number one in terms of planning. It's the more central, the better. I think the proposition or the points that I'm sort of elaborating upon or trying to articulate is that we can't put all eggs in one basket, but the basket is within where we this is our town, we're Brisbane. So we're definitely not looking at anywhere outside of Brisbane especially, but it's also a different concept because what we're actually trying to formulate is a model that works in a private capacity, as opposed to seeking public support or seeking support, down the Olympic pathway or anything like that. So we're looking at what are the feasible models across the board. There's a couple of interesting conversations that we've had, especially with some current partners that have a significant portion of land banking available. It's also, discussions with council to see what may or may not be available at the moment. But this is really looking at modelling something that becomes bankable and feasible in a private capacity. So that's number one. Number two, this is, we've spoken about it in terms of our fan representative discussions. We are very, very conscious of trying to push these, let's say, themed or special match days. We actually believe that every match day could possibly have some type of theme attached, not only for an Indigenous round or Pride round, but also I thought we did really well as a football club, and we've done well as a league for different charity partners in the past. There's a couple of factors. Long story short, this season there definitely will be the Pride round. That's pushed from a bit more of a league emphasis. So we are not challenged, but we do have sometimes a little bit of difficulty trying to navigate what the club wants to push out in terms of our own, let's say, promotion or events for a specific match day, and then trying to also make sure that there's like a reciprocation from what the league wants to do as well. So it's a balancing act. I don't think this season we've been able to push ahead on an Indigenous round specifically, so that's just to make that clear for this season. It's not to say that we're not looking at that for the future seasons, but there definitely will be a Pride round for this season ahead. Have I missed anything?
No, that's fine. February.
Yeah, so hopefully that answers that for you, Stu.
All right, well, we got a question over here. Perfect. Let me lose my voice.
I'm an expat, so I'm from the UK, but the first team's the best team, Aston Villa, and the second team's Bristol Law, and it's thanks to John that he's got me to the game. So I've got a couple of questions. Yeah, back in the UK, I was fortunate to sort of fairly decent sized company, so I worked with quite a few Premier teams and the Championship team, so we did quite a sponsorship shirts and everything. One of the things that worked really well that I felt selfishly running my own company was from a commercial point of view. The clubs that did, it was, what do you call it, the speed dating for businesses. And these clubs would invite you in and they'd say, look, we're going to put a bit of food on, I don't know, $20, $30, but you're going to get every business in town and you get a minute to stand up and sell yourself. Now, that for me was gold because the people around the table, I did that much business, I was indebted to that club, and we ended up sponsoring the kit, we put boards, and it's the bit where just that, I think we've mentioned is great, about thinking outside the box. And I've spoken to John as well about, there's a good expat community that's here, and yeah, Brisbane isn't our first team because we're from the UK, but Brisbane's my second team. I'm a season ticket holder. I come to the games. I was talking like, how to get more people in, a flag day or wait a football shirt. You know, they're all going to be cheering Brisbane, but it's those things, and I appreciate that you can only do certain things, but get kids in from the schools and just fill a stand with school kids, and it's easy for me to say, I'm not running the club and you guys, you've thought of all of this. But it's that, I suppose it's that bit I sit there and I think, yeah, you could fill this 40,000, but how do we do it? Because it is frustrating. There's no easy answer, but I know a few of the businesses in Brisbane and you just think, well, yeah, that speed dating for me was great, but what's in it for me as a business leader? And yeah, that's all. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. It's a great family club, it's a great community club. I've done a few things for the church charity. You phone up, you get tickets, and you're doing the right things. So, well done.
So what was your name?
Simon.
Do you guys want to respond to that?
Yeah. Can I have a few minutes? Or? Firstly, Simon, appreciate it. As I've said in this fan forum, last fan forum, what you all say to us, we take on board, first and foremost. It's like, at the end of the day, I'm a football person as well, and I understand exactly what you're saying. The other month I was at Livingston, freezing, and had no jumper. I was wearing this suit, absolutely freezing. And the thing that in Scotland they do really well, that I thought, was when they sell corporate to businesses or someone like yourself, they put on some sausage rolls, like it's really nice and warm, a nice soup, and then I got a 3-course meal. And I was speaking to all sorts of people at this Livingston match. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. You'd come in at half time, they'd have a meal ready. Like, that's what we want to deliver. We're just not there yet. And I can appreciate exactly what you're saying because I'm a Man United fan. Hey, at least I'm honest. Some of you keep floating around to different clubs. And but I sit at home and I watch Talk Sport in the mornings when I'm getting ready to come and see this guy. And I listen to Simon Jordan and he's banging on and I agree with him because I'm saying, well, why aren't you doing that at Man United? Why aren't you getting that right? Why aren't you doing this? And I look at myself and I go, geez, like I'm in that seat, you know, I'm like, I was at Tottenham watching them against Bournemouth when I had the chance to meet with Michael, and same thing, I looked over and Daniel Levy was standing there, I thought, what are you doing? You know, and
You're not standing there anymore.
yeah, well, and that's the reality, right? I might not be here next round for him, but we take on board exactly what you're saying. Sometimes it's those simple things that have more impact than trying to be so clever. But we need help, we need resources, we need bodies, we need people where, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, we're wearing multiple hats at the moment. We're doing everything we can. But I agree with you. I think if we can put this type of business speed dating, I'd love to do it. I'd love to do all the other things that we're doing. But what we could control this pre-season, let's say, and thanks to the support of our coaching staff who have bought into this, was just getting back to the community clubs. Like when we put a pre-season match on, it was a big thing for these players to get out and do the clinics before the match. Last couple of seasons, we didn't have the buy-in from coaching staff. You know, you've got new age managers now that go, no, just turn up to the game, that's my job. But fortunately, we've got, you know, 2 coaches that have bought in, so you need that whole of club to buy into these things, and then you try and execute on these simple things. So we had a fantastic game at Caboolture, the first round. There were 1,000 people there for the first pre-season match. But these guys turned up 4 hours before, and we're out at the clinics with 200 kids. Now that, to us, is a good start. And now we're going to go back, and we've got Joseph to contact Caboolture, and especially for the KO games, we want to give as many tickets out. And we're just trying to find that balancing act, because for every free ticket we give out at Suncorp, we have to pay the transport levy and all this. And I don't want to make an excuse, but it's like you're always constantly balancing. You know, we want, if it was up to me, I'd give everyone in Brisbane a ticket to fill the thing. You know, just because we need that support. You want to bring people in, so we'll keep taking this feedback on, keep pounding us, keep giving us that feedback, and trust me, we'll take it on board, and we'll try and deliver as best as we can.
We've got a couple over here. The microphone should reach. If not, just come a little closer.
Just on the thinking outside the square, I know you're on the APL board. Obviously, we've got for people that might like cricket, there's a big series coming on. The team that we're playing, they like football. They bring a lot of people here. I was just wondering, from an APL level, do you guys ever think about the activities around that, where we're not, when the GABA test is on, we're away?
Yeah.
And I would have thought maybe getting with the Barmy Army, etc. You might be able to, all of a sudden, maybe 2,000 people rock up.
Yeah.
They have a good experience. When you're on Talk Sport and Kevin Musk gets a chance at Rangers job, they're not saying, oh yeah, well, they leak shit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I was just wondering if that's a thought that goes through APLs.
And even in terms of watch parties as well for away games.
I mean, these ideas, so I can only speak really for myself. Yeah, I'm a director on the board, but I can't speak for everyone. I'm only a new director, and I've tried to come in with a bit more of this type of emphasis and passion to change things up, because let's be honest, it hasn't gone well. We know that, right? That's not a hidden fact. So whatever happened in the last 3 years, it has to change. There's a lot of issues that we need to get right, first and foremost, which is we've got a new TV deal coming up. This is, for me, fundamentally the number one ticket. If you don't have the exposure like we used to have with Foxtel, we had A-League, right now, what's playing? Okay, that's good. But what's on the net? Okay, NBL, put my hand up, are doing a fantastic job. They're in pubs. I've seen billboards, going back to this billboard one, that's being pushed from the league. The league will spend money and go, let's put an NBL billboard on ESPN, and you know what? This billboard in Brisbane, we're going to put the Bullets on it. The Sydney one, we're going to put the Kings on it. Right now, that culture does not exist at the APL. My emphasis as a director is to change that and start to go, we need to invest from the APL. Whatever bucket you've got there has to go into the product, which is the clubs. Yeah. So what we've had over the last 2 years is, everyone knows, it was public, that there was a pullback when we talk about distribution. Now, that means we've had to absorb the, let's say, losses on our side, so that APL, and I'm the director there, so I'm talking with two hats, but so we can come out and say, well, our financial performance is better. Yeah, that's fine, but we're bleeding as clubs. So I know I've kind of not got to the Barmy Army stuff yet, but yes, 100%, I'm trying to think of all of these really crazy ideas to make sure that we've got more, focus. Think about Serie A, right? They're thinking crazy things, let's play Como v Milan in Perth, right? But people are thinking differently now. So for us though, what we need to do is make sure that one, the next TV deal, we have as much exposure as possible. The Foxtel days was the big difference. It's not just about money, it's about how much exposure you have. And the fact was, back when I was a player, I remember on match day, we used to go down for breakfast, and probably Michael's the same, and Zac would have been the same, and Alex. I've got you, Alex, I know. And you used to go down for breakfast, and you pick up the Daily Telegraph in Sydney, or you pick up the Courier here, and the first thing you do is go to the back page, A-League, preview of the match. You know, Victory's going to smash Adelaide tonight, and you'd have 2 or 3 pages on Raw. So we all know this, you guys know that. But the commercial reality is like how much exposure we can get. And look, it burns me to see the NBL one. Like, it should be football, and okay, so we'll get there. So fundamentally that needs to change. And then the second thing is, you're right, we have to think outside the box to go, how do we leverage other events? We've done it at a club level, so like with cricket, for example, last year, we've been trying to do the Heat and Raw. So we're trying that stuff. We're trying to work with Lions. We're trying to work with Broncos as well, because I think there's a lot of cross-collaboration, and with the Reds as well. So we're thinking, are we executing yet? No. So that's where you're not seeing the execution, but I can say from my side that when I go to board meetings, we're having these discussions. We're saying, right, we need to change this. We need to get this right. It shouldn't just all be expansion. It should be, let's get it right, because the thing is, it's not a hypothetical. 10 years ago, the league we were flying. We were at the same level as the MLS. I remember playing against Beckham. LA Galaxy Newcastle Jets was one of my last games that I played. Now, do you think we can bring into Miami here? They're not thinking about coming to Australia. They're going to play against Barcelona and all these sorts of things. But again, you know, there's for me, there's hope. I'm optimistic. I can assure you that we're thinking. It's happening. These discussions are happening, and I urge you as fans, at least whilst I'm a director on the APL board, however long that may last, feel free to come and see me, come to the office, have a coffee, because there's this stigma around the APL being some mafia that's closed off or some secret society. I think it's, like, I had no idea what I was walking into, but it's not that. It's just, unfortunately, there's been a big shift. There's a whole new board there. The people on there currently are really trying to see how do we get ourselves out of this situation, how do we turn it around. And it's going to be tough, but I think these discussions are happening.
Ken, we've got 1, 2, and then we might just go rapid fire with the players who are waiting patiently. I do very much appreciate that. I haven't forgotten about the 4 of you there. So, can you through the chair?
My question is actually back on the field. It's actually to Michael and to Alex. So, present company accepted, because I'm presuming these guys are fairly well established. But who do you think we should look out for, both maybe one young player that might come through this season in the way that Lucas has and Sam Klein over the last season, and also some of the people that some of the girls that have come through for you. So, to Michael and Alex.
Yeah, look, I think we've brought in a few really good young players. One in particular I'd have to single out over the first couple of weeks is a girl named Kira Myers. She's come up from Melbourne City, born in America, raised over here. So we need to get a senior national cap on her pretty quickly. She's been very, very impressive in the first couple of weeks. So definitely looking for her to have a big year, and I think she's gonna surprise a lot of people. And I don't like to make big predictions, but I'd say by the end of the year we're talking about her for at least the under-23 Matilda's team, or potentially a full cap, because from what I've seen so far, she's definitely very talented. But there's a lot of young players that are coming through, and I think again over the last couple of years we've proven that you know we're one of the destination programs for bringing these young players through and getting them to the national teams. We've had, I think, 3 new Matildas in the last 12 months, 18 months. So that's much more than any other club has been able to do. So that's a real point of pride for me. But yeah, if I had to single out anyone, and I don't normally like to do that, but I think Kira is definitely going to be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I particularly don't like singling out one player, and I'll never do that. I think we've got a lot of good talent, and I think one of the most important things that we're doing this season is aligning our B team with the senior team, and I think that's going to be very important moving forwards in terms of how they're going to be working in the same way that the senior team. And I like to look at it as, instead of having 26 players for the senior team, we're going to have 46. And we'll all be working the same way, aligned with the same way, style of play, same culture, same standards, and we'll have a lot of input with that team. So, to go a little bit this way with a question, without singling one player out, I think a lot of work has been done behind the scenes now to rebuild our B team, call it a B team, and a lot of players do come into training, so we don't particularly just have the same players in there. And I took a close look at a lot of the players that were in the existing NPL team. A lot of those boys came through to training. We went to a lot of the sessions. But I just think that moving forwards, if we align that from top to bottom and put in a real program with purpose and intention what we're trying to achieve, and target, like I said, certain talents to develop over time, not to just rush through it, or I think it takes time. I think we're going to do a really good job and build, not for now, but looking at the future, what it could be like a little bit different. It takes work, and it started, which is great.
I just want to pass this on actually to the players, and we'll get to your question in a second, but I know we're only 2 weeks into the women's pre-season, you guys have had a bit longer with your teammates. Is there anyone who's maybe caught your eye you've really enjoyed watching in training so far? And you can't say Tamika or Sian Fryer because they're Matildas, and you can't say Jay O'Shea either.
I think I would have to agree with Coach. I think I was actually just talking to him about this right before this. Was Kira. She had 2 goals in the last game, and she's a young player. I think she will mature over this course of the season. I think any young player needs maturity. But I think for sure Kira, if I can't choose, Sian, Tamika.
Yeah, I'm still learning names, so well, yeah, I agree with Coach and Ashlyn, so yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I think for us, to be a bit careful, like single out young players. But yeah, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. One that's stuck out for me in training is Quinn McNichol. I think he's very sharp on the ball. His football intelligence is very high. And for me, he's someone that I enjoy working with every day. He's a good kid first and foremost, and he wants to work. And then his football abilities showing on the pitch. So for me, it's Quinny.
For me, it's not like just one player. Every player has his strength, and I like really every player because every player is different, and that's good. And yeah, you can say Jacob Bouzanis is good 1v1. Milorad Valkanis is good in the defense. So if you ask me 1v1, I say Jacob Bouzanis. If you ask me who can score goals, I say Christopher Long. Yeah, that's it.
And very smart move getting Dimitri mentioned in there as well. Alright, so final question from the floor for this evening.
Yeah, it's just something player, well, not the players, not just the players, it's the coach. And I'm a firm believer that provided you've got the system around him, and I think probably speak to a lot of people here who think, you've got a lot of fire, you guys are, you're really in it. It's all down to you, mate. In terms of, it's all about the culture, it's all about, you said it, you're you've said it here too, winning, and I think you brought some guys in who have that same mentality, and that becomes infectious. And then you talk about getting people back to the ground. We all know how we're going to get people back, and that's to be winning, and to play attractive but be winning. And again, I go back. You go back to the old days, and the comments from the players. They walked out on that pitch. They already felt they were going to win, or the confidence was there. I guess that's what I'm looking forward to seeing this season. Not immediately, but as we go through, that whole squad, just you're together. You walk out on that pitch, you feel invincible. I have to get people to say, but you know what I'm saying. And I'm getting a lot of good vibes from you. I've had a great coach in the past. I do believe it. Who brought a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. And I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but chalk and cheese in terms of that. No excuses. You're not going to give any excuses. It's all about winning and setting that example and that standard, and that's what I think we want to see. Simple as that.
All right. Well, yeah. I want to go. I'm still hot. I'm still hot. You brought me in for a reason, Neil. All right. So we'll go rapid fire as well because we've got 4 new signings here. I want to give those watching and those in attendance a chance to maybe get a bit of background on the 4 of you, and also get you guys in for a couple of these questions as well. But we'll start with you. So what's your playing career highlight to date? Favourite moment from...
Come to Brisbane.
For me personally, would have been the playoff final at Wembley, getting promoted with Charlton and also participating there with Sutton. And also another big moment for me was when I left Liverpool as a young kid. I then went to Oldham, played them in the 4th round of the FA Cup and knocked them out. So being a lower league team, that was a big moment for myself.
I think for me, my personal highlight was achieving the quarterfinals in the Champions League with Ajax. We played against Chelsea, like in a big stadium. So that was for me a big moment.
I would have to agree, coming to Brisbane.
You two really know how to work the crowd. I like that. And we'll go over to you guys. So not just playing, but coaching can be included as well.
I'd say representing the Socceroos, but I wouldn't mind coming here in 12 months' time and really saying that we've achieved it, filling St. Paul, winning a championship, and they can really celebrate it.
Yeah, I think from a playing point of view, I played for a club called Sydney Olympic. Some of you would know, old NSL club. When I first came to Australia, I've been here for 17 years now, so I'm basically Australian. We were able to win the double in what was called the New South Wales Premier League at the time. It wasn't obviously a professional league, but it's funny what kind of stays with you and what means the most. Just the group we had, coaches that I had. So for me, playing, that's probably the highlight. And then winning the double at Melbourne City as an assistant in the W League about 5 years ago now. So probably the 2 highlights for me.
And we'll go back in reverse order now. So, what clubs, football or otherwise, did you grow up supporting?
I'm just like Kaz. I'm a tragic Man United fan. Although I have been supporting them since I was very, very young. My grandparents are actually from the area, so and I was in Munich in '99. So
we'll let that pass.
I haven't just jumped on the bandwagon like a lot of people.
Yeah, from a very young age, I was always Liverpool.
All right, we know Man United. Zac, what about you?
I was day one Brisbane Roar. I've just seen your jacket, sir. Unbelievable. I was day one Orange Week. Richie Raw would be proud. I was a Brisbane Raw day one fan with my uncle, but EPL, I'm actually a Chelsea fan.
Man City.
For me, it was Ajax.
Liverpool for me.
I'm a big fan of Partizan Belgrade in basketball. More in basketball, not in football anymore, but yeah.
So, in terms of playing styles as well, so if you were doing a scouting report on yourself, what do you think will be the first line for your playing strengths?
So I'm talking about.
Like, what best asset on field?
I think I'm really good at 1v1s, taking people down the line, cutting inside, outside, whatever it is. And then I also think my first touch is pretty great.
Good on James.
I would like to say my intelligence and then standing up and playing. So yeah, to know where the spaces are and stuff.
I think for me would be distribution, which I think can set me apart from the rest of the league, and command of the area.
I love to fight, and not to fight like to defend, and I think my biggest strength is to win the duels.
Alright, we've got time for one more question, Neil? One more time and then...
No, I was going to say I'll do it.
Yeah, right. Alright, so favourite and least favourite part of pre-season training?
Least favorite, running, the fitness. I mean, I feel like that's everyone. Favorite, I would probably say, probably just getting to know the team. I really enjoy the team bonding and just being around the girls and getting to know them. I didn't think I would like everybody, and I do. So just being around the team and the coaches and the admins and everything and getting to know them has been really fun and enjoyable.
For me, it's the heat, and I know for you guys it's not hot, but for me it is very hot in here. So yeah, the heat is a bit of a, I need to adjust to it, but I'll be fine, I think. And the fun part is, getting to know all these new people. They're amazing. So for me, that's the great part of pre-season so far.
The most favourite for me is coming in every day and working with the squad of boys that we got. I think this year there's a lot of banter, there's a very close-knit group, and I look forward to going in every single day and working with them. And my least is definitely how long pre-season is. 13 weeks is way too long. So Gaffer, next year cut it down, please.
For me also the pre-season is really long, I didn't know that. But the good thing is I like to be every day with the guys, with the staff. Really, everyone is unbelievable. I didn't know that the Australian people are so good. And also sometimes I like hard trainings because we need that. We need to push our condition, and yeah.
Well, I have one more question for Michael Valkanis. Just one thing the club did that I was a big fan of during the pre-season was the Bridge to Brisbane, participating in that as a club. I think that's one of those events that they can really take part in. And Michael, I just want to know, what was your time for the Bridge to Brisbane?
I'm not too sure, but I know we ran together as a staff, and we usually do that with my assistant coaches. We run quite a bit, but we haven't done that as late. Now that we've moved into our own, because when I first came here, we were all living all together. So Borka, my assistant, is a freak. He just wants to run all the time and go into the gym all the time. So in the morning we'd go for a run, we'd go to work, and then at night we'd come back, we'd be bored, we didn't want to watch TV, we'd go for a run again. So it was really good while we were living together, but he was looking for every opportunity. We went together as a group, as a staff, and we really enjoyed it. I'm not too sure of the time.
You did well.
You did well.
Thanks, man.
That's all.
We didn't win, but okay, we go.
I think you went for a run before your introductory press conference. I remember you saying that in there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I went for a run and then I was late to the press conference. And then he was very hot in there, and Borja turns up and he's just starting to laugh. And I'm thinking, why is he laughing? And he said, is no one going to give you a towel? And that's when I told him off as well, because he didn't give me a towel either. But yeah, we'd gone for a run before that, yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this evening. Neil, do you want to come and do the official votes of thanks?
Yeah. Look, first of all, thanks very much for coming along. I've got to say, I think tonight has had a different feel to it than the last fan forum we had. We were all under a bit of pressure, and the boys particularly were under some pressure there. But I think that bodes well for this coming season. We've seen how you've performed, and we've seen the signings. And my thanks particularly to the players who also have to go and work tomorrow morning, but work out hard, no doubt. So thanks for putting up with it and sitting there through some of the boring bits for you guys. But we love your passion. We're very heartened. Thanks to James, who's a consummate MC as well as an extremely knowledgeable man about football. I think I heard you referred to as an expert a season or two ago, and so you've only increased in your expertise since then. And thanks to John, John Lang, the RSF secretary, who did a lot of work to help put this together, and of course the club generally for supporting this, getting everybody here. Just so that you know, this is being recorded and will be no doubt available on the club's website and on our website to look at as well. So if there's anything you missed at all, and for all those people out there who were hoping maybe for a live stream, they'll be able to have a look at this and get excited with the rest of us. And I just wanted also to acknowledge Stuart and Dan, who are members with me and others on the what was previously the Raw Advisory Committee, but is now the Fans Representative Group, who meet regularly with Raw management and work through a lot of the stuff that you've heard tonight. And so thank you guys for showing up. And can I just say this? I see one guy here tonight who last time we were at a forum said, well, I'm not renewing my membership because of this, that, and the other. And he came to me tonight and he said, you know, Neil, he said, I've renewed my membership. He said, because Raw management, these two guys have been so responsive, so open to talk to me, so transparent in what they're doing, and I think that says something for the style of management that you guys carry on with this club. And so it's great to see you here. It's great to hear that you've renewed your membership. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks one and all, and I can't wait for the next fan forum to hear what we've done, what we've achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We should say a big thank you one more time. I'll start with Milorad Stajic, Dean Bouzanis, Bente, Jansen, Ashlyn, Miller. Thank you very much for coming along tonight. And we look forward to seeing you out in round one. Thanks to the two coaches, Alex Smith and Michael Valkanis. Best of luck for the season ahead, and hopefully next couple of extra games beyond rounds 26 and 24